Hey, mighty man of God, Dr. Joe Martin here with Real Men Connect, where we help good men become great men God's way by providing with real answers to real problems in the real world. Guys, welcome to the Real Men Ride Along. As you can see, I'm dressed up pretty nice today. I wish I could tell you it's for, I guess it's a good and a bad occasion. I'm going to a funeral. One of my dear friends and my spiritual mom, she lost her daughter to cancer, and I'm getting ready to go to the funeral. And I know it may seem like a strange time to shoot a video, and I'm not going to talk about death, but I am going to talk about the importance of the words we use to affirm people while they're living, and the power that the tongue has. Now, you know the Bible tells us that the tongue has the power of both life and death, and those who delight in it will eat its fruit. And the Bible also tells us that we'll be held accountable for every word that comes out of our mouths. Now, I know when I go to this funeral today, there's going to be some tears shed, but this young lady who leaves behind a husband and two little girls had a very strong faith in God. And what I do know is where she is now going to spend eternity. But at the same time, I know there are going to be some words that are going to be shared that about her life and what she's meant to other people and what she said to them that has had lasting impact on them. And so I want us to really understand the power of the tongue. And as men, especially as husbands and fathers, it seems like the people who love us the most get hurt by us the most when it comes to our tongue and our words. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I've never made mistakes with my tongue. My mouth has got me in a lot of trouble, but it's also been my biggest gift and my biggest Achilles heel. My biggest gift for the sense that it's made me a living, and that's how I made my living my whole life pretty much, is by running my mouth in the words that come out of my mouth. But at the same time, it's been my Achilles heel because sometimes I don't always filter what comes out of my mouth. But I wanted to share with you how important this is and the impact that people can have with their words. And I don't think I've ever talked about this, at least on a video before, but I have shared it with teachers before. When I was I guess I was a sophomore in college. I was getting my AA degree, getting ready to graduate with my AA degree. And I was taking a racquetball class with one of the recreational professors, or I guess teachers, instructors. His name was Coach Bruce. And Coach Bruce was the guy who used to give us all the equipment and give us instructions on how to use the equipment. But I was taking racquetball, and I'd never taken racquetball before, so he taught us how to play racquetball. And at the end of the semester, it was no big deal. I enjoyed the class. I played racquetball years after that, never took it very seriously, but I learned my lessons in Coach Bruce's class. But on the last day of class, he gave us a final exam. And I got to be honest with you, I was kind of upset because I'm thinking, how do you get a final exam in racquetball? But that's another story. So I had to study for the final exam, the rules, the techniques, all this other stuff. When I'm leaving the final exam, I'm turning in my test. Coach Bruce calls me back, and he gives me a note that was folded up, and he told me not to read it at that moment, but to read it later. And so I put it in my pocket, never thought twice about it. But when I got back to my apartment, and I felt the note in my pocket, and I opened the note, and I'm paraphrasing here. Coach Bruce wrote the following words. Now, you have to understand, I was probably maybe 18, 19 years old. And he says, it was a delight, Joe, to have you in my class. That I loved seeing you every day, and your attitude was infectious. He says, the reason why I'm writing you this note, because students like you make my job worthwhile. And I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again. But I wanted you to know that even if I don't see you again, I know one day and someday I am going to hear about you, read about you, or see you in another place on television or something. He said, because you're going to have a life that impacts a lot of people. You're going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So even though I may not see you again, I know this won't be the last time I hear about you. So I'm writing you this note to let you know that when that happens, I want to be the person that says, I told you so. I told you so. Now, guys, it makes perfect sense now based on what I'm doing and speaking all over the country. I've been to every state at least twice, 4 different countries, running my mouth for a living, getting paid to do this, written several books, all this stuff, running a podcast that reaches 43 different countries. Now, it seems obvious now what Coach Bruce said, but when I was 19, it shocked me and it floored me, because I was thinking to myself, what is this man talking about? What, did he like the way I had a good backhand or something? I'm just a kid from the projects. I'm not going to impact anybody's life. I'm not going to make that big of a difference. And even though he spoke those words to me and over me, it never made any sense to me at the time. Now, even though I didn't believe it, and I questioned it, and I even doubted it, but one thing I didn't do, I didn't forget it. I didn't forget it, and I held on to that note until I graduated from college, because I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. But I never forgot the words of Coach Bruce. And don't you know, God in His grace and His mercy gave me a chance to run into Coach Bruce again. It was years later, and I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I had to be probably maybe late 20s, maybe early 30s. I don't know, I'm not sure. But I had already achieved quite a bit of success at that age. And I was receiving an award for my academic achievements and my accomplishments, even though I was still pretty young. And I mentioned the story of Coach Bruce, and wouldn't you know, by God's grace, divine purpose, he was in the audience when I shared that story. And of course, you know what Coach Bruce said when I came up and saw him. And of course, I'm crying, he's crying, people are crying because they heard the story. They didn't know he was in the audience. And he said, "Joe, I told you so." Wow. Joe, I told you so. So guys, I'm telling you, your words matter to your children, to your wife, to your friends, to your brothers, to your colleagues, to the people who you are leading on your job, in your businesses, in your ministry. Measure your words, because they matter. They matter and they make a difference. And do you know, as a result of Coach Bruce doing that for me, when I got into teaching, that every semester I would pick one student and I would write them a similar letter. Tell them that when you do make it and you do make that impact, and when it happens, I want you to remember my name and say, "Man, he told me so." So guys, that's the power you have. So remember, we are males by birth, but we are men by choice. So each and every day, choose to be the man that God called and created you to be, because a male is a terrible, terrible thing to waste. And so guys, live your life as if it's your last, because one day it may be your last. And the only thing that's going to be remembered is your legacy. Talk to you soon. Love you. Live strong, be strong, and as always, stay in God's grip.